If you miss a couple easy balls early in the match, do you tend to get mechanical with yourself and start focusing too much on stroke? Hi, I'm Dr. Patrick Cohn with mental performance coach Jaclyn Ellis. Today, we're going to talk about how to continue to play the game with trust and freedom in your strokes instead of going to the dark side, which is focusing too much on your technique during the match. This is the Tennis Psychology Podcast. Jaclyn, you and I know that tennis players, especially perfectionists, when they start missing routine balls, they tend to go to overthinking, they tend to go to the mechanics. What happens when they go there?
Well, if you're overthinking your mechanics, you're not playing freely. You're too focused on over controlling and you're not just letting it happen. And that can actually hurt performance. It's very counterproductive for what we want and how we want to get into the flow of the match.
But if I'm missing the ball badly compared to what I'm capable of or what I do in practice, then shouldn't I be focusing on trying to fix my stroke out there?
Ooh, that F word, fix. Well, there's a time and a place for that, and that is in practice or in your training. Game time is all about using what you have that day. So a lot of athletes are tempted to want to fix their stroke, and what you actually want to do is, instead of trying all of these different things and searching for the fix, we want to rely on the basics. Go back and find a default for those skills. You already have the skills. They don't just fall out of your head, right? So try to find a way to push through and use those skills, whether it's a ground stroke or a volley or a serve, without actually changing a lot of that stroke or changing your grip or changing your form for that stroke.
Yeah. I always say it is what it is on match day. It's not going to get that much better or better at all by trying to practice your strokes during the match, right? So definitely there's a time and place, as you say. Think about it as you train and practice and maybe play practice matches before the tournament, and you're going to work on your skills. You can think about your strokes, think about consistency. But once you go to the match, now it's time to test out those strokes and just see how good your training is and your practice matches are and try and get through it. So then in that case, if I'm struggling a little bit, I'm not hitting it clean then, and I'm spraying the ball a little bit, I'm not keeping the ball in the court, what do I go to then if I don't go to mechanics?
I think one good tip here is to make your targets a little bit bigger on the court. So maybe you're going for those really hard angles and you're spraying the ball, you're hitting wide, you're hitting long, you're doing a little too much. Make your target a little bit bigger on the court and go for that. Keep it simple with your execution and find a bigger target. And that will help a lot.
Yeah. One of the things that I've worked with tennis players on with some success is instead of going to the mechanics, just go to seeing a different ball in your mind. What I mean by that is if you're hitting it a little bit into the net, then just see a higher ball, but don't try to adjust your strokes. Just try to visualize that ball like 6 feet or 4 feet clearance over the net. And sometimes just making a little bit of change in your visualization, your body will respond to that. Likewise, if you're hitting it long, just try and visualize a ball that's maybe a little bit flatter or has a little bit more topspin and landing in 6 feet short of the baseline. And sometimes if you're a good player, you can make those adjustments by just visualizing what you want to do rather than going to stroke. I think it's also about going back to basics too, Jaclyn.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point, seeing the shape of the ball, let's say, visualizing the shape of that ball, and then going back to your basics. Your body already knows what to do. Your body knows how to hit a ground stroke. Your body knows how to hit a serve. You really don't have to think all that much about it, and maybe you already have some cue words that are effective for you. And by cue words, I mean if you're serving, maybe the cue word is or up and over, right? You're trying to get up and over the ball for your serve. Or if it's a ground stroke, maybe your cue word is out in front, or maybe you want to think about a follow through. Okay, you don't want to really be thinking too much about the technique, but if there is a cue word that helps you execute, let's stick to that default and go back to basics there. You don't need to change everything that you're doing.
Yeah, it could be just smooth,
Yes.
or finish the swing
Right.
without thinking about positions, of course. Right? Yeah. And I think going back to basics as well is use what's working in that moment, right? Try to
Right.
stick to what's working. If you're not executing that kill shot well down the line, then maybe you go to a little bit more on the rally side and wait for a better opportunity to hit that kill shot or outlast your opponent. So I think some of that goes into it as well is you have to adjust, but you don't want to adjust your strokes. Adjust your visualization, adjust your tactics, as you said, adjust your targets, but try not to get into the left, right, which is when you start making adjustments with your stroke. You're going to hit the first serve out left, then you hit the next serve, you're going to miss right, and it's going to go back and forth because you're making those over adjustments with your strokes, right?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Tennis Psychology Podcast. For more information about one-on-one mental coaching with Jaclyn or myself or any of our mental performance coaches at Peak Performance Sports, visit peaksports.com. Thanks for joining us.